Welcome to episode 14 of Find Your Success. Can't believe we've made it this far. And it's been a ton of fun. And today we have another amazing guest, one who's been quite successful. And I've seen him around quite a bit, especially in the insurance space.
Thank you.
As I've grown up in these last several years. Mr. Kegan Stevens.
Well, thank you, man.
Welcome to the
I
show.
appreciate it. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Thank you for
I'd
your
love
time.
to be a part of it.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I appreciate your time.
Thank
and
you.
I see how busy you are.
Thank you.
And I also hear a lot of good things about you on a regular basis.
Thank you. That means a lot.
I don't want to get your head too big, but
It's already big, man.
yeah, right. I get told
Physically
that too,
big.
but- yeah, I get told mine's physically big, not. Yeah, I've heard plenty of good things about you, and over the last few years, getting to meet you around in the insurance space. And we'll talk about what you do here in a second, how that
Sure.
involves the insurance world. But let's start off with who you are. Where are you from?
Sure. So I'm from a little town outside of Albuquerque called Grants, New Mexico.
No, no kidding.
And I was...
A pirate? Are you a
I'm
Grants
pirate,
pirate?
man. Grants
Wow.
pirate.
Wow.
I graduated, moved to Albuquerque, went to school at UNM. My mother and father were avid entrepreneurs in the town of Grants, Gallup and Farmington, and the surrounding areas. My father was in the vending industry.
Interesting.
He had one of the largest vending companies in the state. My mother owned a sign company with him, and they divided and conquered. They did a really, really good job.
Wow.
So, background of entrepreneurship. So
Very interesting. So you grew up around the vending machines and the signs.
yeah,
And learning the ins and outs of entrepreneurship. And I would imagine you grew up around a different type of schedule compared to the typical 9 to 5?
yes, absolutely.
Different expectations?
Absolutely, yeah. And growing up in that type of environment requires consistency, right, and self-discipline.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother and father were definitely great examples to show us of how I do it today. So
That's awesome, man.
yeah,
Well, props to them.
thanks, man.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, I'm blessed to know that what they've taught me throughout the years and what I've learned from my consultants and peers and mentors kind of all lines up with my common goal. So yeah.
Well, we'll get to your. I have a lot of questions about your common goal
Sure.
here in a bit.
Absolutely.
So you came over to Albuquerque, and you went to UNM.
Yes.
And what did you go to UNM for?
Entrepreneurial studies, business management, and psychology.
Those align well together.
Yeah. Then I graduated, bought my first company. It was a solar company when I was 21. Yeah, 21. Sold that. I had 2 partners in it. Sold that, and didn't know what I wanted to do with my life after that, in regards to business. So my father brought me a opportunity. He saw at a sign convention, which was shrink wrapping. And are you familiar with?
I think I have a good idea, but if you want to elaborate on that.
Yeah. So shrink wrapping, the white stuff you see on the back of boats going
Yeah.
down the highway for transport. It's asset protection. So we protect for transport and also for storage. And in the line of that, we do containments for mold and asbestos and lead abatement. And that fell in line to the remediation and restoration business that I'm in now. So went from solar to the shrink wrap. Shrink wrap I've owned for...
So you've done that?
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, we just opened up this year in Phoenix, which is going well.
Wow.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
My older brother's my business partner there.
That's cool.
Him and his wife, and it's going really well. So I was shrink wrapping, and we're doing containments, and one of the customers and clients was retiring, and he says, you're really good at this. Why don't you look at the restoration industry? And so I started calling around, called a franchise consultant, and he gave me 3 options, what my interests were. And this is a funny story. I get a call from Stop Restoration, the CEO at the time, and the president and the founder. And his name was Matt Clark, and he was also my business consultant for many years. And he actually grew up here, and he currently didn't live here, but
in Albuquerque.
went to Highland High School, so we kicked it off right away. And after we had a conversation, flew out to Kansas City, where he was based out of, and had dinner. And he said, "Well, you're the youngest individual that I'm going to bring aboard."
How old were you at this point?
I was 22. Yeah, and he ended up. I ended up signing on with him, and was the fastest growing franchise ever in 30 years with the franchise in the first year. We're now the second largest in the country. I'm almost going to beat the other guy.
Yeah,
I'm right there. But after a couple of years, I built it up to the point of other investment opportunities came about. Those investment opportunities, I was having a conversation with my dad, who's my highest mentor, and he's like, look at storage, storage facilities. They do good. You can also use to store contents on the restoration side there, and have double use for it. So what I did was I jumped online and found I was actually the first storage facility that I saw online for sale, and I've owned that for going on 9 years now.
Nice.
And,
I do hear those do well, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't known that.
It's self-storage, and then 3 years later, I purchased a RV and boat storage. And now, currently, I'm building a storage facility with my business partner, Steve Chavez. He's a very prominent businessman in New Mexico, and very successful. And I am blessed to be a part of his team too. So we're building the only storage facility at Mesa del Sol. Be a self-storage facility of about 500 units, a little over that, and plans to continue to move from that to start building more up there. He's done a great job with Mesa del Sol.
I hear it's growing a lot.
Yeah, it's bringing a lot of development, a lot of companies up there to build the community. So
they're building a lot of houses up there, right?
They are. Yeah. They have 2 apartment complexes already. They've got, I think, over 1,400 homes. They have a grocery store now. They've got.
Are they really?
Yeah. They have a school. So as it develops, I'm really happy to be part of that growth in the community. I love New Mexico. I thrive here with the community, and I tell people that it's a we have 4 seasons here, but we also have 4 seasons of culture. So adapting and being a chameleon in your marketing efforts with the environment and with the people is crucial to being successful. And that is being humbling also. Humble yourself to going to rural areas, traveling, because we have over 2 million people in the entire state.
Yeah.
So driving to places, making sure that you get that windshield time in to build your business and to
Windshield
stay.
time, I like that. Yeah.
Windshield time, yeah. And I one of my business consultants, he said, don't confuse driving as work. It's an illusion of work. So work when you get there and work when you get back, right? But take the time to think and kind of meditate while you're driving. So.
That's, in regards to driving, that's powerful stuff.
Yeah.
To not waste that time, especially with how TV and social media and all the craziness, politics bombard us from different directions. Sitting in the car is one of the few places you can choose to disconnect pretty easily because you've got something else going on.
Right.
So you can listen to whatever you want, or just not have anything at all.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people would be surprised at how much gold there is, how much they'll find within themselves just by chilling out and creating the space to receive those sorts of things that have been just hanging out inside in their consciences.
Yeah. yeah, making. I find a time to drive. Sometimes I think to myself, man, I didn't even turn on the stereo, and I've been driving for 2 hours, just thinking and going through my head of when I get there, what my plan is, and my action plan, and how I'm going to deliver that. So
Yeah, slow is fast sometimes,
yeah,
right?
that's true.
Right, chilling out, slowing down, actually doing the right things.
Absolutely.
People like to feel like they're going fast, even if they're going in circles. They confuse that with actually going in the right direction.
Right.
So by slowing down, getting the wind out of your hair, maybe taking the time to just think,
Yeah.
it might not be that exciting in regards to what all the entrepreneur world will say nowadays, but it'll take you where you need to go.
Absolutely. Yeah, Denzel Washington puts it perfectly. He says that don't confuse for doing a lot for getting a lot done. And so
Ooh, yeah.
put
Yeah.
put those priorities. There's a difference between what's urgent and what's important, and driving allows me to prioritize those things.
Yeah, distinguish between acknowledge differences between things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's huge, especially in a position like yours where you have a lot of obligations. You've taken on a lot.
Yep.
To know what's most important. And I guess really you can simplify it down for anyone to get closer to what's most important on a regular basis instead of just saying yes to things and thinking you're doing the right stuff when you're not. You're running in circles.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. There's. I'll elaborate real quick on what I was taught by one of Mac Clark, my main consultant. He's now passed, but he said, when I first was introduced to Stop, he had me memorize these 5 things, and he'd every call he'd say, "What are the 5 functions of management?" And people ask me, "Well, how do you organize your life to run all these businesses and do extracurricular activities and be with the family and so on and so forth?" And you have to plan, staff, organize, direct, and control. So you have to have a plan, you got to staff it, you got to organize it, you got to direct it, you have to control it. And to do that, you have to have what's called the 4 economic resources, which is land, labor, capital, and time. And time is the most important one. And that's where I have a little piece of paper in the back of my pocket that I pull out, and I get made fun of for it, but it's called my time plan, and jot things down of when I need to be where and what I need to do, and that is how kind of prioritize my day and my week and my month and my year. So through the time plan.
I mean, it
Little
looks like
piece
it's
of paper.
working. It looks like it's working okay. So whoever wants to make fun of you, maybe they should give it a try. Shoot, maybe I should give it a try.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. I
Yeah,
appreciate
that's some great advice. So what are the 5 letters again?
Planning, staffing, organizing,
staffing,
directing, and controlling.
Oh. Yeah, we're gonna have to chew on that one some more.
Yeah,
I like
for sure.
that. It's
Absolutely.
especially since it's had such a significant impact on your life.
Absolutely.
Well, I appreciate you sharing also.
Sure.
Where you're at now. Was that a good roundup of where you're currently at?
We're currently looking at territory in Phoenix for the restoration side of things also, but that's still up in the air right now. But building this one here, it's growing every year. All the companies, the restoration side of things, we are in all the schools, UNM, CNM. We have a contract with the state as well. We do a lot of work with the state and the government, the federal government. So, you don't know when a loss is going to happen. Water, fire, mold, or smoke, and biohazard cleanup. So people think that mold doesn't grow in New Mexico, but that's a fallacy. It does grow, and so we do quite a bit of mold mitigation, a lot of floods. So that's getting into this industry. It creates a certain type of personality, and that personality is managers are paid to sustain continuity in the face of constant change. And so this industry, it changes all the time because every job is different. Every insurance claim is different. And we see people at their worst day. So we have to elaborate our kindness and our quality of service, and also be humble to the fact that they just lost their house in a fire or a flood, or they lost a loved one via the biohazard cleanup. So we have to be compassionate about when we approach the customer and the client. So
Man, yeah, that's a lot of sensitive stuff.
yeah,
The different people.
yeah,
Right. Let alone the different things that are going on in their lives, of just the different types of people, the
absolutely.
different backgrounds, the different lives that they've lived, their perspective on life, and how well people have treated them, right?
Right.
Their expectations.
Right.
And that's very interesting.
Yeah, and being in the industry of restoration, just like any business, starting any business, it's a calculated risk, right? Entrepreneur, like I said, takes a different type of personality of taking that risk, and but calculating it out, and to calculate it out, you have to have 5 functions of management. So that, in a nutshell, I'd say it's not that hard to own a company. It's more difficult to run one and to stay consistent. So,
Man, I love that.
Yeah.
So on that, what I guess how do you encourage people to become even more consistent? I'm curious. Would you have any thoughts on that?
yeah, I do. I have a saying where if management and running something becomes boring, you're doing it right.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So
I see that.
And with that, consistency, customers see that consistency, and so does your employees, and so does your work-life balance as well. Being consistent is boring sometimes, and so but it also creates success.
Absolutely. Being able to engage with the mundane on a regular basis, people do get the wind in the hair. They want to feel like they're doing things, handling the things, being consistent with things like the back of your hand. It gets boring. So people start to venture off, and they wonder why things suffer. They wonder why their business suffers.
Yeah.
And it's because they stopped doing those boring things that were actually the lifeblood of the business.
Right, exactly. And being consistent with marketing, right? Like I stated to you before, as the consistency of interaction brings cohesion, cohesion brings a relationship. And to build that relationship, you need to be out in front of people, every 28 days. And that's our motto here, is every 28 days we market to our clients. We try to.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and we go based off of personality traits. Those personality traits are bulls, owls, lambs, and tigers.
Okay, I've somebody presented that to me once, and I forget his name.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, it's a concept where, actually it's a proven concept. It's a personality test where you walk into an office, and the guy or individual has plaques on the wall and pictures up and awards, and they are pretty strong-willed. That's a bull.
Yeah.
Owls is more skittish, more aware
Yeah.
of their surroundings. Lambs are gentle, like
Soft
lamb
spoken.
chop. Yeah.
Yeah. Get pushed around. Maybe
yeah.
a little too easy. Yeah.
And tigers are like Tigger, bouncing off the wall, energetic. They love to have fun, and you can be all 4.
Yeah.
Or you can be 2, or you can just be 1. So taking that direction while you're marketing to that individual, get to know them first. Also get to know their family, get to talk to them about what they want to talk about. And I always tell individuals, talk with your ears. Talk with your ears. And they're like, what? I'm like, listen, you can find out a lot about somebody when you're asking the right questions about them. So,
Man, the way I like to visualize that is if you went to a doctor's office and they didn't ask you a bunch of questions about how you're feeling, but instead just prescribed you something, some big red flags would go off. And a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of business people or even people who are just trying to get somewhere, they forget about the listening part or the actually going through the diagnostic process of learning about people, looking at their unique situation,
Right.
and then going from there. They skip that part, and that's why there's so many people who sell from pressure points instead of presence.
Yep, exactly. I don't like the word selling. I call it relationship building, and because there's a need for that service or that product, and have you ever heard the rule of 30?
I think I have, but remind me.
Yeah, so the other basis we base our customers off of is there's out of 30 people, 30 are going to love you and buy from you and build a relationship with you and have that consistency. 30% are going to not really care. They don't really, they're not biased. They're like maybe not.
Neutral.
Yeah, neutral. The other 30 don't like you. You can't please everyone,
Yeah.
as I say. My mother used to tell me that all the time. I'm a people pleaser. I love to make people happy or try to and make them accommodated.
Yeah.
And one of them is smoking hash in the atmosphere. So that's called the rule of 30. Zig Ziglar put that out there, and he also stated, the 30% that's neutral, those are the ones you want to gravitate towards too. Is that concentrate on that 30? That's a rule of 30. Concentrate on that 30 because you get 60% of the market share rather than just the 30
Just the
that
30.
love you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a big rule, and so I train my staff on
30
on
to
that rule.
60% is a significant jump.
It is. It definitely is. Yeah, and that could up your sales tremendously. And when you're marketing, the basis of remembering their son had a t-ball game or a basketball game or their daughter had a dance recital, and when you're going back in to speak with them and visit with them and build that relationship, remember those things because they find value. They're like, wow, he actually cares, So that's big in how I market and how I train my staff to market.
I love that. One of your first points was, keeping in touch with somebody on a 28-day basis at least. And some context for you. So my parents own a company. My mom's had this business for 28 years now, I believe. And
What does she do again?
She's in two-way radio communications.
Really?
So yeah,
Okay.
walkie-talkies basically, and she's done a heck of a job. And her thing has really been to call all of her files at least once a month. And I worked with her when I was in college and went off and got into the insurance field. And of course, I'm taking in all this information about how to, be a better marketer, how to generate business, all this stuff, a lot of it trash. And I looked back, I thought, what would actually make me successful? Oh, what did my mom do? She called people once a month.
Yep.
And then, sure enough, I started doing that, and not only was it easy, but things really turned around.
Yeah.
And I just thought, wow, how funny is that? People want to sell you the next course, the next big methodology and tool, but really just being a nice person is what it comes down to, and keeping in touch.
Yeah. Yeah. Being genuine, right? I'm a straight shooter, black and white, but also being that genuine, straight up individual that is going to be honest and fair and trustworthy. Right? Trust is a big thing with me. Honesty is our number one core value in our company, and so if somebody's not honest, then they're out with me, for sure.
Big deal.
Yeah.
Especially if that stuff if there's dishonesty up the chain, it gives permission for people down the chain. Really, it does cause a lot of dysfunction. But I really respect and appreciate that.
Absolutely.
And you would hope that was just the standard, and maybe a lot of people talk a big game about honesty.
Yeah. Absolutely. I let everyone know also that determination is another one of our core values, and that core value, give 110%. Because our competitor might give 100, but give that extra 10%. You know, if there's a client with a flood and it's at 1 o'clock in the morning and they're up and they need to be at work at 8 and they're freaked out and they're concerned, we ask them, hey, would you like a cup of coffee? Is there something that we can grab you? Or, you know, you want a book to read? Or I mean, we try to be as accommodating and determined as possible to get the customer taken care of. Give that extra 10%.
Treating them like human beings.
Yeah.
Not just a transaction.
Right.
Yeah, that's great.
Right.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's big time advice for any industry.
Absolutely.
To treat humans like humans, and especially in the age of AI
Yep.
now, a lot of people want to let their staff be let them be taken over by AI.
Right.
But in a lot of ways, it eliminates the opportunity to ask if somebody wants a cup of coffee.
True.
Right, and to hand it to them.
True.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's a caring aspect too. Care for people, be compassionate. Like you said, we're all human beings, and we all have emotions, and calming those emotions in the time of need is big to us here. Also, we when we're out on a job site and something happens, right? People make mistakes. Be honest about it.
Yeah.
Be upfront. That's one thing I see in our culture in the U.S. is, you know, people try to hide the mistake, and eventually it comes up to resurface, and they get found out. And so, being honest up front.
Ooh, give me chills thinking about that. Yeah.
You know, being honest up front is our main concern as well. When, you know, there's a problem that arises, communication is another one. The lack of communication brings confrontation, and when you communicate properly and you're genuine about it and you solve the problem right away, then there's nothing, you know, you move forward, right?
Yeah.
You also show the customer that, wow, they jumped on this right away, and I'm going to use them again. I'm going to try them out again, even though this mistake happened. And we rarely make mistakes, but when we do, we definitely communicate it quickly and urgently and get it taken care of. So.
Well, I know you're speaking the truth, because before we jumped on the podcast, Tucker was telling me that was one of your favorite quotes, the communication quote.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's obviously gotten through to the rest of your team.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's a big deal.
Absolutely.
Being honest and just dealing with it, walking through that fire.
Right.
You dug the hole, just fill it back in, fix it.
Yeah, and
Fix
then,
your mistake.
you know, if the guys or the technicians are running late to a job due to traffic or an accident, pick up the phone, hands-free headset inside the truck, give the customer a call and say, I'm running late, I'm going to be 15, 20 minutes behind. That speaks wonders.
Very respectful thing to do.
Yeah. And because, you know, if the customer has to do your job by communicating with you, there's something wrong. And so that is one of the key principles also in our company is communication. So.
Man, yeah, that's great. I can understand why you guys are doing so well.
Yeah, and internally as well. Like, you know, Tucker, marketing side, and myself have to communicate to the production staff on, you know, what the needs are out there from what we hear from the customer when we're speaking with them, right? And we have to know what their thoughts are on jobs when we're conveying our service to the customer. So that communication has to be liquid and transparent.
If you had to list 3 things that have led to your success so far, I have a funny feeling you've touched on most of them. How would you frame those up?
I would say faith is number one.
Ooh.
I'm a believer, and number 2 would have to be it would have to be consistency, and to elaborate on that comes in discipline, right?
Yeah.
Being self-disciplined, and staying a couple hours extra at night to get some paperwork out, because I share to people, look, there's going to be another pile on your desk tomorrow. Get what's what's on your desk now, get rid of it, and get it taken care of, because there's just going to be more the next day or the following. Because in retrospect, Warren Buffett speaks about that. If you let things fester and snowball and wait, you can never catch up. You just be running around in circles.
Yeah, that's never fun.
Yeah. The other, the third thing would be a good center of influence. Center of influence meaning, I'll elaborate on that. You are who you hang out with all day long. And if you hang out with successful people, 9 times out of 10 you're going to be successful. And if you're the most successful one in the room, probably in the wrong room. It's good to share that success and with those individuals and be friends with them.
Yeah.
But also you want to hang out with also more successful individuals so you can learn from them. They can teach you. And
People who are doing what you want to do.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And there's those same common values there too. You know, like you said, being an entrepreneur is very, it's organized chaos. And organizing that chaos in a way and sharing that with your mentors and the successful people you hang out with is valuable. And so, because their time's valuable as well, not to say other people's time isn't valuable, but those successful people will help you get through struggles, successes, and help you being pointed in the right direction. So,
Yeah, I love that. I think those are 3 excellent things.
absolutely.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear you kicked that one off with faith, because we
Yeah.
haven't talked about that yet.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's wonderful to hear.
Thank you.
And having the faith foundation
Absolutely.
to walk out your front door knowing that that's where your heart's at,
Yep.
allows you to make decisions from that point. And, you know, seeing all the different philosophies and principles you've talked about, it's a little easier to walk through those things and to have compassion when, you know, your heart has been softened, really.
Right.
Right? Yeah.
And, you know, I'll share with you, one of my consultants, Mac, he'd say, you know, I'd call him with a problem and I'd be complaining about the problem. And he said, well, bring solutions, not the problem. Don't bring me the problem, bring solutions to the problem. Managers are paid to solve problems all day long. So complaining about it isn't going to do anything. Bring solutions to get it solved. And also being positive about it.
Yeah.
Right, that's one of the biggest things. Positive thinking brings positive results. And if you're negative all the time, who wants to hang out with that? Who wants to work for that? Who wants to be around that? So being positive through times of struggle in your personal life or your professional life, be positive, because it'll too shall come to pass, right?
Yeah.
It will. So
Yeah, especially when you got a dream. Sorry to jump
Yeah.
in, but when you have a dream, it quickly dies if you're not positive, right? Because you're thinking dreams are the things that are typically not super likely to happen, but they can. But having the belief, a genuine belief that it could happen, really is what, especially in those hard times, can keep you going.
Sure.
When you know that the opportunity still exists.
Absolutely.
And you can still pursue it. That it hasn't been crossed off the list. It's still there. So, and positive thinking just keeps that belief going, and you can take actions based off of, just knowing that the opportunity still exists.
Absolutely.
It's a lie when people say that the opportunity's gone in most cases.
Right. You know, and I have a hard time giving up. So don't give up. Push forward. And there's sometimes to not give up, but move in a different direction.
Pivot.
But pivot and do something else. But figure out the resolution to the problem and go from there. And be positive about that resolution. Be confident in that resolution. And there's a fourth thing for success that I want to share is you have to be fair, firm, and consistent. And I shared consistency already, but being fair across the board with yourself as well. A lot of entrepreneurs don't look at themselves in the mirror, right? So if there's a struggle, first look at yourself as an entrepreneur or a manager or an employee, or just personally as an individual. Say, you know, where can I improve? Is what I'm doing right now pertaining to the goal that I want? Is what I'm doing right now going to get me there, right? And being firm. There's things throughout my day that you have to be firm on, policies, structure, and time. You got to be firm with your time. I have so many things going on, and sometimes, like I was late, I had to make this phone call, but I communicated that with you,
Yeah.
right? I came up, I was like, apologize, I have to make this phone call, but I was firm with the individual. I said, I have 5 minutes, and then I have to get off the phone. So being firm with your time and with your day-to-day, a lot of, because you're pulled in different directions all day long, and that organized chaos, to organize it, you got to be firm with the people you're interacting with sometimes, as well as doing business with. So
Setting the expectation.
yeah, setting a boundary.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And it comes back to communication. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Fair, firm, and consistent. Also, the other thing is, in business as success is being non-emotional, right? When you bring emotion into business, it gets wavy, it gets up and down, and you want to show your customer, your employees, that you're consistent and you're firm.
Yeah.
So, keeping that emotion down and sticking at the task at hand and the goal is key. It's very key. So
You mentioned it takes you away from the mundane,
Yeah.
right? Because you want the emotional high, perhaps, of something more interesting.
Right.
So you stop doing the things that
Right.
helped you achieve success in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Exactly.
that's a very interesting point. It is funny to see how it all ties in together. It's quite the harmony that
Right.
exists in the chaos.
Right.
Earlier you mentioned not giving up but pivoting, and what that kind of reminds me of, and it's a lesson I'm learning on a regular basis, is remembering the function, the thing that you're trying to do over the form. Function over form.
Sure.
If you're
Yep.
trying to
Yep.
hang a picture on the wall and there's a screw that you need to move or do something with, not getting caught up in needing a screwdriver, because if you did, it might take you down the road to the store to buy a screwdriver, and before you know it, you're wasting time finding the best screwdriver, forgetting that the most important thing was to hang the picture on the wall, when you could have just used a butter knife.
True.
So a
True. True.
pivot really could just get you closer to what's most important, right?
True.
You're not giving up, but thinking, oh, I'm actually getting closer to what's most important to me, in a way that saves my resources and doesn't waste the time that we have.
Right, exactly. And to add to that, also organization. Cleanliness and organization are also the keys to success. I've, I'm going to pick on my dad. He kind of had everything on his desk all the time, like papers and I said, Dad, what are you looking for? I've been 10 minutes looking for that. And he'd say, oh, I know where it's at. 20 minutes later, he still hasn't found it. But he eventually found it, and I learned from that, which I'm a clean and organized person as well, and image is key. Our vehicles are washed daily. Our equipment is washed daily. And what that says to the customer is we take care of our things and our assets that make us profitable, right? But also, it shows to the customer, we're going into your home, one of your largest investments in your life, and we don't want to bring dirty equipment into your clean home. And so the first thing they look at is our toolbox, well, ourselves, obviously,
Yeah.
our toolbox, and our vehicle. And those three things, we've gotten numerous amounts of comments. We're there to do a dirty job, right? But we have to definitely look the part and be professional and clean. I also say we're a cleaning and restoration company. And this goes throughout any business. Making that client comfortable. So I don't like to sit in a dirty environment, do you? Nah. So I let my staff know, look, treat it like you would your grandmother's home, right? Be courteous, be kind, make sure you close the door behind you. Make sure you open the door for the client. Make sure that, again, back to communication, you communicate with the client. And to lead with the organization part, what's priority? What's urgent? What's important? I touched on that briefly. And being urgent about something. We get a call. I mentioned to our project coordinator before we got on the interview, hey, we just received another call. Boom. She said, I'm on it. And she called, right? Mm-hmm. That's urgent. There could be a task that's important, like say my accountant needs some information he called me on this morning. Well, that's important, but it's not urgent, right? So where entrepreneurs and managers trip up sometimes is prioritizing those tasks opposed on the gumption of what's important and what's urgent. So that is one thing that I've seen with other entrepreneurs, business-minded people, that you have to dictate which direction you're going to go first. So, and success to me,
that was my next question, actually.
Yeah, success is you can be a successful truck driver. You can be a successful school teacher.
Absolutely.
You can be a successful business owner. You can be a successful project coordinator. Success is measured by your results. Mm-hmm. And so hold yourself accountable.
Yeah.
Take the mirror philosophy again and look in the mirror and say, what can I do better tomorrow that I didn't do today? Or improve. Because we can always improve. And Tiger Woods has a coach, and he's one of the best golfers in the world ever in history.
Yeah, maybe the best.
The best. Michael Jordan, same thing. And having a coach it's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Keeps you held accountable and keeps you on track. So I have 3 coaches, and every which one, they're like, well, why don't you just have one? One last successful thing that I do, that not too many entrepreneurs do, or business individuals, I take multiple opinions and suggestions, and then I bring it into a consensus of what I'm going to do. And I would ask my 3 consultants, they're like, well, I already told you what to do, or I already advised you what to do. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but I'm going to get their advice as well. And so sometimes that other consultant's advice could mirror with the first consultant's advice. So taking multiple opinions and suggestions and being open-minded is a successful trait with myself. And so that's kind of one of those little secrets I have, but don't tell anybody.
Yeah, we won't tell anybody. We'll keep that one close. Yeah, I like that one a lot.
Yeah.
And you could look at it on the flip side too, when people that you care about are saying things that maybe you don't like. Their one opinion isn't, the end of the world.
Right.
Right. Triangulate information. Get an accurate viewpoint by getting advice from people around you, multiple people,
Sure.
multiple sources.
Sure.
And it just, speaking of emotion, helps keep you level-headed. Because if one person's spun out, doesn't mean you have to be.
Right.
So,
right. And also, we get tied into the minutia of day-to-day business, and there's things out there health-wise, and your health means everything as a business owner. Yeah. If you're not healthy, then you're not doing business. Mm-hmm. So make sure you maintain your health. Work out, go on a walk.
Sunshine.
Yeah, sunshine. Get outside, and it also relieves the stress.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It's a great analogy for life.
Yep.
Right, when you're hitting the gym.
Yeah.
A lot of lessons translate pretty well.
And I've noticed most successful people, they work out.
Yeah.
And they're involved with different hobbies that they have to release that stress and the minutia of day-to-day business. It's good to. Your mind is one of the strongest muscles in your body, if not the. Mm-hmm. So that you got to work that out too by calming down and sometimes not doing nothing, just reading a book or just vegging out and hanging out for a little while. You got to rest.
allowing the space for great ideas to come in, right? Or even the great advice, to allow those things to sit in. We talked about that with the drive. If you don't have that space, a lot of these things that your mind's been chewing on behind the scenes, your subconscious mind, which apparently is chewing on a whole lot more than your conscious mind is, you don't have the space to see them, to acknowledge them. They don't arrive
Right.
when that space doesn't exist. But going for a walk, the idea of less is more, you go chill out for a while, and what do you know? You walk away with the $1 million idea, and people wonder why. Like, how did you come away with that by doing something that isn't around hustling?
Right.
Right.
I went on a walk.
Yeah.
I went on a walk.
Yeah.
Yeah, it opens, because a stressed out mind is cloudy mind, in my opinion. And so relieving some of that stress, I'm not going to say it's going to all go away, but helping your stress level by going and doing those things and taking care of your health and your mind to be more successful. You know, Elon Musk, he goes on trips with his family. Guy's got like 6 kids or something, but he takes that time and he doesn't do business, or he'll do business and then take the time to go be with his family. Is crucial to being successful. So.
Yeah, and I have a lot of respect for that guy. He's doing some pretty big things.
Yeah, and you know, with also being successful, in my opinion, is not always monetary.
Absolutely.
You know, you gauge it by the results, but also the results in how you treat people, the results in how you treat yourself.
Oh man.
And so it's not always monetary and success. Like,
when it comes to the different currencies we have access to, I believe that's a tremendous point you just brought up about how money is one of the many currencies that we get to play with. And a lot of people in general, let alone entrepreneurs, are paying attention to all of the currencies they have. Like time, money, attention,
Right.
influence, impact, like the relationship they have with themselves, that faith-based currency,
Right.
The ability to relate to people. I mean, the millions of currencies you can utilize
sure.
out in the field, you know, when it comes to trading,
Right.
right? Like you can actually get a lot done in business by giving someone something that maybe wasn't very valuable to you, but was very valuable to them. That wasn't monetary,
Right.
Maybe you gave them a little bit more time, or,
Yep.
or a great memory, or something,
And knowledge too.
or knowledge.
Yeah, knowledge
Access.
Access.
Yeah.
Yeah, knowledge is one key to success as well that I forgot to share. And you know, the more knowledgeable you become, the more powerful you become.
Especially with your ability to act on it,
Yeah.
to actually implement it.
Mm-hmm.
So what personal milestones are you working towards? Like, how will Kegan know he's successful? Are there any specific things that you're looking for that once you reach that point, that was a clear success, then maybe you'll move on to the next thing? Are there
Yeah.
specific targets you have right now?
Yeah, the building a family, growing a family, is number one. 2 would have to be.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It means a lot. Number 2 would be another milestone is I want to own at least 8 companies before I stop.
Right on.
And that's just a goal I had since I was a young lad. When I was younger, my father said, you know, you make your bed, you lie in it. So always remember the decisions you make can impact somebody's life or your life itself. So the second milestone leads into that is owning 8 companies. It's a sacrifice, right? So having that family life, but also having the business life, that family has to know the level of sacrifice.
Opportunity cost.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, and you know, he also used to tell me you can't have your cake and eat it too. You got to make sure that everybody's communicated with on how you're going to get to that goal. I would say the third milestone would be to have and grow this company and the ones that I own now to sustain multiple individuals' lifestyles and to help them grow as well. I like to see people grow in the company. You know, they buy their first house, they buy their second car, they get married, they have a family, you know, and we here all support that. So I want more of that in the company, because
That's great.
It brings a little bit of happiness, a lot of happiness
Yeah,
to myself.
absolutely, man. That's great.
You know, so and the value in that is just tremendous. It's amazing to see something that you started and is building. That's what I love to see is the growth and building on it, and the people involved in the company, watching them grow too.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I got to ask you a selfish question.
Sure.
How about when it comes to your car collection? You got any milestones there?
I do.
If you don't mind me asking,
I
you don't have to answer. I thought it would be a
do.
funny one. I'm curious.
I have a story about that. I was a little kid. I was probably, I don't know, 7, 8 years old, and my father had a Viper, Dodge Viper. It was one of the first years they came out. I think it was a '94, and had no air conditioning. It was a muscle car, right? And I was sitting in it, playing on it, acting like I was driving, you know. And Dad walks by and I said, "Hey, Dad, could I have this for my high school car or college car?" And he says, "Hell, not no, but hell no." He says, "No, you know how you get a car like this?" I said, "You give it to me?"
Yeah, good try.
And he said, "No, son, how you do that is you work hard." So one of the first cars I bought was a Viper.
No kidding.
Yeah, and I still own it today, and it's sentimental to me because of that.
Yeah.
And my father always said, "You know, the people that are successful, they buy the cars cash and keep them." I said, "Really?" He says, "Yeah, that's overhead if you have to keep paying on them." So my advice to successful people out there: don't finance a sports car, a muscle car. Buy it cash outright, and keep it. Or if you make profit off it, sell it. But the next milestone, I have that Indy Pace car that I bought it at auction with my father, and I actually wanted one just to drive around, but this is also a collector car. So I take it to car shows and multiple things, and just purchased a 1967 Shelby, my dream car.
Congratulations.
Eleanor car, GT500. Yeah, you know, growing up, I watched the movie Gone in 60 Seconds, and I told myself, I'm gonna own one of those. I am gonna own one of those, and it happened.
Dang.
And just setting your mind to that goal of getting there, and the people that I hang out with, those successful people, I wouldn't come across that car as an investment, actually, if I wasn't hanging out with them.
Yeah, great point.
So I'm still collecting. I just got to get a bigger garage, man.
You know, hey, that's awesome. I had to ask you.
I like my toys.
I appreciate your answers, but I just had to ask about the cars.
No,
I know
yeah.
You've got a heart and passion for that.
Definitely.
A little bit of a vulnerable spot here. Moving forward, to reaching these milestones, are there any things that you believe you need to work on and implement to reach those goals outside of, or with any of those, the things that we've already talked about, but is there anything you believe you need to work on
Sure.
to help achieve those?
Staffing. Can, you know, as you, and measuring that staffing goal, right? So if production's up, need more people, and marketing is up or marketing's down, need more people as well. So the staffing is a balancing effect. And it's hard to find good people. It really is. That's a struggle. But we're not giving up. We're hiring from out of state, actually. We've had some good luck there. Number 2 would probably be facility-wise. So there's planning, staffing, organizing, directing, and controlling, but there's also land, labor, capital, and time.
Yeah.
Having more land to do more business. is our next goal.
Oh.
We're looking at buying or purchasing or building a larger facility to do more business. And third would be sustaining our culture.
Ooh, as you scale, yeah, it's
Yeah.
a big deal.
Staying true to those core values as you grow. The positive aspect about it, the positivity, and also don't lose sight of those core values as you grow. You know, stay humble, and make sure that you're firm with those policies.
Don't let them get boring.
No, the policies and core values, you got to just keep them in line and make sure everybody follows them.
Yeah, that's great advice, man.
Absolutely. Thank you.
It's great advice.
Thank you.
Well, before we get wrapped up, do you have any final words in regards to advice that you can think of? Something, anything relevant?
Yeah, I will say, if I'm speaking to an entrepreneur or a manager or employee, or just don't give up. You know, if you give up, there's no real. You got to have a purpose, and to have that purpose is to have goals. And Denzel Washington puts it perfectly: dreams without goals are just dreams. So, put those goals into place. Write them down. I have another piece of paper that I keep in my back pocket, and once a year I sit down and I write my goals out. And with writing those goals out, I open it up, and by the time the end of the year comes, it's like all ratty, falling apart.
Get washed a few times.
But what it does, Dustin, it helps me stay on track. So write those goals down. If it wasn't written, it didn't happen. That's a big one for me. If it wasn't written, it didn't happen. So write them down, stick to them, and granted, it might take 6 months, it might take a year. This new storage facility we're building, it's taken me a year and a half to get the financing, to get the land, to get the right architect, the right engineer, the right general contractor to build it. I mean, it takes a lot of time planning, and but execute. Don't just write it down and look at it. Execute on those things. And it's like eating an elephant. I don't eat elephants, but you know the saying. You know the saying. Just one bite at a time. One bite at a time.
Do.
So that is my that's my goal for society also is to see people flourish. Because you can't do it all your own, right? So seeing other people become successful, it also makes me very happy. So you know, and help somebody else out there. You never know who you're going to run into.
That is absolutely true, man. And if you're prepared for the moment, you end up with some fantastic relationships.
Yeah, and my father always told me, always treat everybody like you want to be treated, because you never know who you're going to run into. You might run into the next contact that has $1 million contract for you. You never know.
Yes.
So just treat everybody with respect, like you want to be treated.
That is absolutely huge advice.
Absolutely.
Huge advice. Yeah, just the awareness and the humbleness and the heart to treat people well.
Absolutely.
And you talked about earlier, getting to know people, listening about what's important. You find some cool things happen in life.
Yeah.
Is the easiest way to put it.
Yeah.
Right, without setting a bunch of big expectations. Good things happen.
Yeah, and also be humble. And my father put it perfectly again. He said, don't act like you have it because it's here today and gone tomorrow. So with leaning off that, just because somebody else isn't where you're at, doesn't mean you can't help them. Yeah. Help them. Lend a helping hand.
Man.
So that's
excellent.
That's helped me along the way tremendously. So.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that's going to help anyone who listens, and thanks.
Yeah.
Everything we've talked about today has been great.
Absolutely.
Great concepts, great things to chew on, great
you.
things to implement. And I mean, the proof is in the pudding. Right? You're obviously living it out, and you've got a team that seems to love what they've been doing.
Absolutely.
And you seem to love what you're doing. And
I love it.
It just it says a lot. So things are aligning, I think. Right.
Right. The last thing I want to say is, if get up every morning, and if it's not something you love to do, change it.
That takes
Change it.
some balls, right?
Yeah.
It takes some guts.
Yeah. Take some guts. Take some huevos, man.
Uh-huh.
But you gotta do what you enjoy to do, because you're gonna do it every day for a long time. And so, make sure that is, before you write your goals down, think about what you want to do. Think about what isn't per se going to make you happy, but you're going to enjoy to do, and because there's going to be struggles while doing it. How are you going to? What's it going to be? What's the fire that's going to be inside of you? That's like, I got to keep on going. I got to keep pushing forward. So make sure that what you choose to do is going to keep that fire burning.
You can find a way.
Yep.
If you love something, you can find a way to make it work. Really,
Exactly.
If it's the most important thing.
Exactly.
People tell you to give up, or they'll tell you it's dumb. Everyone important to you might say that it's a silly thing to be excited about, but
Right.
if you stick with it, you can find a way.
Yeah. I will share this. Favorite movie was Castaway.
Nice.
The reason why, that dude didn't give up.
No, you didn't give up.
He did not give up. He got off that island.
Yeah.
And so I really, live your life get off the island, push forward to get out in the ocean.
Be
And
resourceful.
Yeah, be resourceful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Work towards the same common goal.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a bunch of great stuff today. I really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Showing up today, allowing
Thank
us to be here, and
Thank you for having me.
dude, of course, man.
Absolutely.
I was excited
Anytime.
to. Although I was the second, insurance guy to have you on, but who's counting?
Hey, Rob, I think he's kind of, I won't say it.
Whatever. But nah. So, how can we support you? You got any? Is there any ways? Seriously, I mean, you're not a selfish person at all. But are there any ways or things that you're looking for how the community or people can help you?
Sure. If we always have job opportunities, from technicians to office staff. We would love for you guys to put our name out there with job opportunities, and good qualified people that have a valid driver's license and that want to work hard and be dedicated. Number two would be share our name. People in need with water, fire, mold, smoke, and biohazard cleanup, and lead and asbestos abatement. But also, number one I feel that I need to ask you that question too, right? How can I help you?
I appreciate that very much, brother. That means a lot. And just to make clear, you're helping me tremendously by being here.
Thank
you. I don't know if I've shared it so much with people behind the camera watching the video, but the most important thing to me is to have community and proximity to great people in person. And
Absolutely.
With the way COVID went down, a lot of that had stopped happening. We've gotten away from that. And I know that I have the most fire in me, I have the most energy, I have the most excitement, and I do my best work when I'm surrounded by the right group of people.
That's awesome.
And I have a network that I feel very blessed to have around the country, but oddly enough, I don't have a lot of, it's growing, but I got to a point where I wasn't so inspired by the community I had here in Albuquerque, and that's part of why this project became something that made sense, was because
That's smart.
I can knock out multiple birds with one stone. Number one being around the right kinds of people.
That's very smart.
So thank you for showing up.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That means a lot.
Absolutely.
And we want to encourage people to shout your name, to call you up when they have something hard going on.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
again, after listening to this, there's no doubt that you wouldn't provide great service.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Their website.
Oh, yeah.
You want to go to? Is there?
Yep.
What's the easiest way?
www.albuquerquestop.com.
And if they have an insurance claim, if they have an insurance thing,
They would need to contact their insurance agent or call us, and we'll help them through the claims process, step by step, on how they're going to file the claim, and we'll talk with the insurance adjuster and make sure that we guide them in the right direction on how to get it taken care of properly.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Absolutely. Yep.
Cool.
We're one number away. Give us a call. It's 505-892-3112, and we'll definitely take care of them.
Right on, man.
Absolutely.
Well, last thing here, and it was a good segue, but welcome to the club, my friend.
Oh, wow, man.
That's yours.
Thank you.
Yeah,
this is cool.
It's the first edition of our club cards.
This is awesome, man. Thank you.
Of course.
I appreciate that. I'm going to keep that in my wallet.
Good.
Yeah.
I hope you do, brother. And again, it means
cool,
a lot
man.
that you've showed up today and you've shared so much.
That is cool.
Because of your contribution, you are a member of the club.
That is cool.
So,
And anytime you want to meet or grab a cup of coffee or grab lunch, let me know, and or just go hang out.
well, I think we have a lot to talk about. So as soon as these cameras shut off, there's some things I want to discuss and some people I want you to meet.
Okay.
That I think could help you out, especially in Phoenix.
I would love it.
Thanks
would
again,
love
brother. I'll go ahead and I guess wrap us up. Before I do, Jonathan, you're the man, the myth, the legend, a very humble man himself. Got to shout him out in every.
He does a great job. Does a really great job.
Yeah, thank you. Great human being.
Thank you, John.
So
yes, sir.
Always got to make sure that he's taken care of, because
Yeah.
without him, none of this would be possible.
Absolutely.
But all right, well, I guess that's it. Episode 14 of Find Your Success. Thank you all for hanging out and showing up, and we'll see you next time.